All right, good morning, tribe, and welcome to the Donut Shop at the beginning of the world. I am your host, Dr. Mark Merriweather Vorderbruggen, broadcasting you live from Ravenscar, my suburban backyard. Drinking coffee, hanging with the tribe. I got a story for you today that's kind of interesting. So we'll get a few people here. Can I? Yeah, okay. I guess I'm off-centered. Hey, good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Charles. I'm trying to arrange this. Okay, so I'm trying to so the sun doesn't burn out the camera and all this stuff. Hey, good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Deanna. Good morning, Mike. Hey, Chris. Good to see you, man. Jennifer, good morning. Sherry, good morning. Story time. Story time already? Okay, we got 17 eyes. So, swung by Kroger. Hey, Alan. We'll let a few more people show up. Oh, 24. Okay. So, hey, Kimberlyn. let me get through the good mornings to the people, because it's always exciting to see everyone show up. Hey, Donald. How you doing? Coffee. Okay, story time. And by story, I mean this was an interesting thing that happened. So, at Kroger, the grocery store, bought some stuff, was wheeling out. Well, the cashier said, be sure to check the bottom of your receipt. And I assumed it was just some sort of, like survey or something like that. And I just shoved the receipt in my pocket and started, pushing the cart out, rolling out, went through the doors to exit. And suddenly the cart alarm, or the alarm by the door went off, and the cart slammed to a stop. Like the cart would not move. If you noticed, a lot of grocery stores, well, shopping carts are expensive. And so they have it set up so if it goes beyond a certain perimeter in the parking lot of the grocery store, there is a signal that the cart stops getting, and it causes one of the wheels to lock up, so that then people can't steal the carts and use them and push them around. Because once you get beyond the parking lot, the shopping cart renders itself unusable, because the shopping carts are like several $100s a piece, and the grocery stores don't like doing that. So anyway, pushing out, shopping cart slams to a halt. The security person comes over and said, oh, yeah, the problem is that like 3 weeks ago, you bought some peaches. They was looking at the receipt. And it turned out the peaches may have been contaminated with salmonella. And so you're supposed to go to the customer service desk and get reimbursed for the peaches and make sure everything is okay. And so the cart, like I said, as it went through, it knew I was supposed to go to the customer service, and it stopped on me. It wouldn't let me get out of the store. Of course, the Kroger knew what I was buying because, I have the little Kroger card and I get all the wonderful discounts and so forth. But they were able, they've basically been keeping track of all my purchases and realized, hey, this is one of the people that bought these, salmonella peaches a while back, and we need to give them the money back, which is kind of cool when you think about it from that side. From the more libertarian side of me, I'm thinking, that's interesting. They track everything I do. And not only that, when I was trying to leave, the cart locked up because I hadn't gone to the customer service to get my money back. Fascinating, the technology. But it led me to think, and this may tick some people off, so be it. The whole self-driving car thing, and you just get in and tell the car where you want to go, and away you go, and you can work on your stuff. You can read a book, you can watch a movie, you can do whatever, and you don't have to worry. The car will just get you there. The thing is, if the person who controls the car doesn't want you to go to a place, you can't get to that place. And now it's even like on shopping carts. So, I'm thinking about it, and, I like to say, never give power to anyone that you wouldn't want your enemies to have. And I kind of agree with that. And so I personally, oops, I'm moving stuff around here. I personally am not keen on the idea of self-driving cars because, like I said, then you are not the person in charge of where you can and cannot go. So, something to think about. When you think, in some ways, it's an interesting thing that I'm trying to figure out what triggered the actual alarm when my cart went through the little gateway at the thing. I don't know if it was reading my Kroger card, if it could sense it as I passed through and said, whoops, this is a guy that needs to go to customer service and we're not going to let him out of the store until he does. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But I will be getting my RFID blocking wallet arrives today. So, interesting, I thought. Let's see. Some people showed up while I was talking. Hey, good morning, Bonnie. Good morning, April. Good morning, Dan. Hey, yes. Hey, Jonathan. Hey, Donna. Hey, Rexana. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, Amanda. So, yep. Yeah, here's the same thing. This is reluctant to support the Elon Musk neuro implant. See, I grew up when I was in high school is when the whole cyberpunk thing started. The literary sci-fi cyberpunk stuff where there was all sorts of brain implants hooked right to the computers. I was thinking, wow, that's cool. You have all this information. But even back then, I was starting to realize, yeah, but information is so easily corrupted and so easily controlled, and it made me think, I'd rather have let's see, how do I move this? If you're going to influence my brain, I don't want you to be able to do it quite so directly. I want you to have to rely on the same Jedi mind tricks that salespeople have been using for centuries. So Jennifer asks, what is a blocking wallet? So this isn't a blocking wallet, but remember, so on the back, don't look at my, but on the back of all your credit cards and store cards and discount cards and all that, there's that little magnetic strip. And the thing that you zip, put it in the machine. Well, you don't necessarily need one of those machines to activate the strip. Some of you might work in a security building where you just have the pass card and you just put it up against the box and it unlocks the door so you can get in. Those strips can be read at a distance with the right transceiver. And so what it does is it puts out an electromagnetic pulse and causes the strip to pulse back in a certain way, and this goes, okay, you can come in, and you go. So you don't need to, you can be like, I think at the Alt 2600 conference, they're getting up to like 40 or 50 feet away where they can read your card, get the information from it, and in the case of credit cards, use it for purchases and so forth. And I travel a lot, and I used to spend a lot of time in airports, and I always was concerned about that because every so often someone would get their card hacked. But nowadays, it just seems like more and more one less way of letting people control it. So the blocking wallet has a fine metal mesh in it. It works with what's called a Faraday cage, and it basically blocks these signals from getting in. Halt, you. And so it can't read the contents of the chips and the RFD, or the chips and the strips of your money and your cards. So, and it was like $18, $19 from Amazon. It was a nice looking one. It was Timberland. I always liked their shoes, and it was a nice looking wallet, so I splurged a little. Hey, April, how's my knee? My knee is good. I'm at that stage where every time I flex, the little healing parts suddenly tear open, and that stings really bad. And apparently I got some blood on my boss's white chairs yesterday, but they were like, I guess they're a leather thing and they cleaned up pretty easily. Hey, Julie. Let's see. Jennifer, could you wrap your credit cards in foil? Yeah. Aluminum foil is an easy way of making a Faraday cage. What you need is just to surround the item you want blocked with some sort of conductive material, 365 degrees. It does not have to be a solid sheet. Aluminum works great because it is a solid sheet, and so it's impervious to all frequencies. A lot of times it will be a mesh, and the mesh, the size of the holes is either the size of the wavelength you're, or like the holes will stop. Well, the mesh, the non-hole part, will basically stop any frequency whose wavelength, I believe, is larger than the holes. Or is it some fraction of the holes? Because they'd still be really small. If the way to think about it, look at your microwave. On the front of your microwave, you have a window, but there's like a mesh on the window with little holes so you can kind of look through and see your food. And that mesh is the right size to block the microwave radiation from coming through the window and zapping your face as you watch your chili heat up. Okay. Oh, this is cool. Kimberly is saying, I read a cool article on foraging chanterelles in East Texas. It was the Texas Highways magazines. Love that they had a foraging with. Oh, wow. So they had I have to look that up. Texas Highways. Love that they had the Foraging Texas website and your book above all the other references. Cool. Very cool. They didn't talk to me. I'm kind of bummed about that, but whatever. Yep, and this is the trade-off. So as Nicole says, if the Neuralink can help a paraplegic person walk again, then I'm all for it. In his demonstration the other day, he said that it was the first application for it in the first rounds of human trials. If it can do that, it would be truly outstanding. Yes. So the key here is optional. Don't make it mandatory. And I don't think they could ever make it mandatory. But yeah, there's definitely some benefits. Especially for those trapped in bodies who don't work anymore, suddenly you open up a whole new world for them. There's been a lot of really cool stuff done with children where they, are trapped in a hospital for some reason, for long term, and can't move and can't interact with other kids, and they put the VR goggles on them and the haptic gloves if they can move their hands, and put them in a virtual world with all these other kids that are in similar situations. And the morale and the attitude and the joy of these kids just goes through the roof because they can finally play with other kids. And it's truly something to see. Look it up on YouTube or some of the other places like that. And so, yeah, there's a benefit. So there's always two sides of the coin. There's the really amazingly good things where it can help the people who, couldn't be helped by anything else. And at the same time, there's, who watches the Watchmen sort of thing. So, hey, good morning, Cleo. Hey, Kay. Oh, yeah. So Kay mentions, if interested in a purse with RFID and other safety features, look into PackSafe. They aren't the prettiest, but they are very functional and safe. So yeah, PackSafe is the makers of the bag that I always carried all over the world with me. PackSafe bags, no association other than a very satisfied customer. They are designed to be relatively burglar proof. So one of the things, like when you're in some of the cities, especially in Italy and some other places, it's very common for a thief to like slice open the bottom of your bag or the side of your bag, and either stuff falls out and they grab it and run, or they reach in. So slash attacks where they slash the bag open is very common. And so what PackSafe does is they basically have the inside of the outside of the bag looks normal, but then underneath the first outer layer, it's a chain link, basically, a wire mesh. So even if a person slashes it, they don't get through the wires, and everything inside the backpack, in my case, not a backpack, stays inside the backpack. Then they had special zippers and so forth that couldn't just be pried open. And then the straps, because another thing would be like if you're just walking with say a purse over one arm, it's coming for a thief to slash it and run. Or even if you have it cross body, like, whoa. You're supposed to, carry your purse and bags and so forth, so it's not easily ripped off your body. It still would be cut and gone. In the case of PackSafe, they got a steel cable that runs through all the straps, so they can't slice it. So very, very, very secure. And then, of course, they offer the RFID blocking things too. So very, very, very handy. And very good if you travel, especially in some of the seedier places like I used to do in the oil industry. Okay, here we go. The wavelength must be longer than the mesh hole spacing. Okay, that makes sense to block. Kathleen, I was looking at the meshes and thinking that as you were talking. Hive mind, ha ha ha. Yeah, and here's another reason, Kathleen. I don't want the Borg sort of mentality to spread through the humans, because I know how your mind works, and I don't want any part of it. Burn. Hey, good morning, Nancy. Here we go. So, Dendeb, my wife uses a plastic case she got at a dollar store that's about 1/4 inch thick. It was 99 cents and 2 cents worth of foil to line it, and made her own RFID blocking thing. Yeah. So that'll work. They're like a paranormal Faraday cage. Yeah, the Faraday cages, they've been known for a while, since the times of Faraday, to block out any sort of electromagnetic signals. Hey, Nancy. Yeah, and that's the other thing. When you live in a metal house or metal barn or a level shed, or they got the metal barn dominiums now that are really nice. One problem with it is it does block a lot of the TV signals and the radio signals. Hey, good morning, Bernice. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Alicia. Okay, Chris, how does the body use metals like iron and zinc? Seems odd to me. Okay, now we get into the wonderful world of enzyme chemistry. So, enzymes. Well, let's go first with reactions. Man, I wish I had some paper here. So, usually if you have a chemical reaction, you got these two molecules, bumping around and floating around, and they need to hit at exactly the right way and turn into a new molecule. So chemical reaction, it's two or more atoms or molecules coming along and getting lined up just right so they can react and go. And this takes a certain amount of time. If you look at the percentages, you got all these molecules floating around here. How many of them are going to collide in just the right alignment? Because it's not just they have to hit, but they have to hit in just the right alignment. Like, imagine throwing two Lego bricks together and they line up perfectly and click together. So there's a lot of statistics involved in how often that happens. So what an enzyme does is it sits there and it has a very specific cavity, and it's somewhat flexible. And I need another set of hands. But as these two molecules go in there, like, they'll catch them, and then they'll bring them together just perfectly aligned so that the two molecules react. And once they react, they no longer fit in that enzyme and they pop out again. Well, to get the molecules that are floating around to bind to the enzyme so they can react, usually there is some sort of metal in there, iron, phosphorus, calcium, any of these, because of the electronic nature. The outer electron shell of those metals is very different than the outer electron shell of carbon and oxygen and hydrogen, the things that actually make up the enzymes. So without that metal in the core, in the grabby part of the enzyme doesn't work. So you need those different metals, whether it be zinc or phosphorus or iron or copper, to bind to it. Like in the case of iron, one of the main uses is it actually binds really well to oxygen, but not so well that you can't get it back off. It has like a loose affinity. It's like, come here, man, I love you. Hug, okay, go. With oxygen. And so that's how you transport the oxygen, in your blood, is it's loosely bound to the iron in the center of the hemoglobin, and then it just randomly diffuses off into the body somewhere. And then the body uses the oxygen to burn the fuel it needs to do its job. So think of the metals as different, very specific magnets that attract very specific molecules, so that the enzymes can bring them together. Because in the process of grabbing and bringing them together, the chance of the random hit and reaction is much higher, and so it speeds up the process a lot. Upwards thousands of times in certain cases. The enzymes do an amazing job. If we just relied on random chemical reactions in our body, we wouldn't be doing much. And so the iron and the phosphorus and all that helps the enzymes speed up the chemical reactions to the point where we can be us. So hopefully that makes sense there. And I didn't see any questions there. So all right. 7:39. Hey, good morning, Laura. I saw thousands of people actually planted the seeds. So Alicia is mentioning, did you catch the news story on Vice about the Chinese seed packets? So I don't know if it's the little news blip I saw, but the FDA or someone figured out like 1,000 or more people had planted the seeds. So that's going to be interesting. Hey, Pat. Good morning. In summary, science and especially our bodies are wild and wonderful. Some more wild than wonderful, but still. Cheers. Totally agree there, Kathleen. Hey, Terry. Good morning. Hey, Cynthia. Okay, so the next question. Can these metals be introduced with vitamins or just from food? And that's a big source of study and interest, because a lot of the times the metals, like if you so often the problem with vitamins is they don't have the secondary molecules that are usually needed to make the body absorb the minerals, the iron and the other elements, the other metals from the vitamins. So when you are eating fresh fruits and meats and liver and fat and nuts and all that, that's how we evolve to get our minerals and our metals. And so that's how the body is designed to get them. And sometimes the body can do things it wasn't designed to do, and other times it doesn't do very well. And there's been a number of studies that I've seen that your basic vitamin, where it's just like iron and phosphorus and copper, like that. I don't want to call out silver, sin, trum by name, but that's like one of the ones that it supplies all the metals and other minerals that you need, but it doesn't supply the things that you need to actually absorb those minerals. And so that's where real food comes into play, the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the meat, because there you get the whole package. A lot of things will require different fats to be absorbed, or other sort of organic acids. Um, the closest, a lot of people take magnesium supplements. The magnesium citrate is pretty bioavailable. By bioavailable, that means that the body can absorb it. But a lot of other magnesium salts don't do a good job of getting into the body. And so you end up just creating really expensive urine, really. Okay. All right. Good morning. Hey, good morning, Jennifer Bell. Okay. Bonnie, going back to the Faraday conversation, if you put foil around your cell phone, will it protect it from detection? Yes, if you put enough foil around it. Also remember, though, that it will block any incoming signals, so you won't actually be able to get any phone calls with it. The easiest way to test if you've properly covered it is cover it in foil and then call your phone from another phone. If it rings, there's still cracks in the system, and so you need to do more. Does that make sense? So you're blocking all signals to it, whether they be the signals you want or signals of evil intent. And so, you basically render your cell phone unusable. Side note, even when the cell phone is off, it's still usually actually on and can be tapped, if you will. So, yeah. So iron needs vitamin C, yeah, and vitamin D often needs some sort of fat. The different vitamins and so forth. They need other stuff. Oh my lord. Okay, so April, I'm back. I had to go take a picture of the sunrise for my brother. He was rushed to the hospital yesterday, broke his back in 4 places. I said a prayer and took the picture. A bird flew right into the shot and made a beautiful shot. I know God hears our prayers, and that was a beautiful sign of peace. Oh my. Yes, April, may God have mercy on your brother. May he have quick healing in Jesus' name. Yowza. Is he it's you didn't mention any sort of paralysis, so hopefully he's not paralyzed. It's just broken. Okay, so I'm assuming this is from the Vice. Yes, okay, so we're going back now to the Chinese seeds. Alicia writes, yes, some of the seeds were harmless, others had mold, others died, but also killed plants around them, and some were weeds. It was a good story. It was funny, not funny story. Some people even called 911. It was a longer story. I highly recommend reading it. It was on the Vice post on Facebook. Okay, I need to check that out. That sounds interesting. All right, Sherry asks, can you explain why Epsom salts work on relieving pain and swelling? Nope, I don't know of the mechanism there. Sorry. I'm assuming. No, I don't know. I'm not even going to try to take a scientific wild ass guess at it. All right, what is the most common deficiency? Thanks for taking my questions. Okay, in the United States, amongst people, the most common vitamin deficiency is vitamin D. D as in dog. We have been taught that the sun is our enemy and we should avoid it at all costs. And in doing so, the sun, the ultraviolet light reacting on our skin, creates the vitamin D molecules, which our body uses for a bunch of things. One of the big things is it's an important part of the immune system. And so if you don't have enough vitamin D, you will have a compromised immune system, which they found is one of the issues with the whole COVID thing right now, is that people with low vitamin D have much worse time with the whole COVID-19. So there is vitamin D fortified milk, and it is okay. It does have usually the fats with it, but a lot of adults don't drink milk. They've developed the milk allergy, and so they no longer have milk in their diet. So what I recommend, just 10, 15 minutes a day of sunlight. Eat your lunch outside. I know most of you work at a real business where you can't strip down to a pair of shorts and whatever other parts need to be covered, and just sit there in 10 minutes in the sun going, vitamin D. But that works. My second favorite way of increasing vitamin D is through mushrooms. So the white button mushrooms you get at the store, at the grocery store. So it's been shown they and a number of other types of mushrooms, portobello, pretty much all the store-bought fresh mushrooms, when exposed to sunlight, because remember, mushrooms are not plants. They're actually closer to animals than they are to plants. But these mushrooms, when exposed to sunlight, convert or start producing vitamin D. They found that if you expose it to about 14 hours of sunlight, so figure 2 days worth of direct sunlight, the mushrooms will produce these huge amounts of vitamin D that then when you eat the mushrooms, you will get the vitamin D from. Now, they produce the vitamin D, and again, like in humans, without access to the sun, it starts dropping off, and within 48 hours, all the vitamin D that had been formed dissipates again. So you got to set the mushrooms out, get them nice and vitamin D'd, and then eat them right away. But the other thing you can do is after you take the mushrooms out of the sun, you can quickly dry them, chop them up and dry them, basically kill them. And so the mechanisms that would break down the vitamin D stops, and then you have like little dried mushroom chunks that you can add to your food to increase the vitamin D that way. The cool thing about it, again, mushrooms, they're scary. Once you start studying mushrooms, you wonder why they don't rule the world. The vitamin D process, if you take, again, like the white button mushrooms and just slice them up and set them out in the sun, all the little bits will make vitamin D. So by increasing the surface area of the mushrooms, by chopping it up and exposing it to the sun, you more quickly develop that concentration of vitamin D, because every surface that's exposed to the sunlight will be making vitamin D. So if you just have, the button, you just have this surface, but if you chop it up, you get all these surfaces exposed. So it's really, really cool. Then the second most common would probably be magnesium. And that's available in a lot of like leafy green vegetables and nuts and things like that. And magnesium is another one of those things. One of the main needs of magnesium, or main uses of magnesium, is in the brain, and in particular for mood and serotonin and happiness and all that. So a lot of times people, when I say a lot of times, a number of cases of low-level depression are often due to a magnesium deficiency. And so eating foods high in magnesium, or in this case, taking the magnesium citrate, magnesium supplement, vitamin, will help with that, get the magnesium levels up to where they need, and a lot of people start noticing their mood improves. And then the third would be iron and anemia, and cook in cast iron and eat almonds and peanuts and raisins and get your iron up. I actually used to be somewhat anemic. About a third of the time when I'd go to give blood, they say, no, you don't have enough iron. So I started just every day now, I have a handful of almonds just to get the iron content up where I need it to be. Okay, April. So taking your vitamins with a meal would increase bioavailability. Yes, depending on what the meal consisted of. If it is some microwavable meatloaf or microwavable lasagna or something like that, maybe not. But if it's a mixture of meat or fish and chicken and fruits and vegetables and butter, butter is actually a real good way of increasing the bioavailability of a number of things. So if you think real food, it will, the minerals and the vitamins in the real food combined with the ones in the vitamins will more easily be taken in by the body. So. Hey, April, no worries. I can understand. I mean, that's a pretty scary thing there with the broken back. Yep. Chad, beer is expensive urine, yeast urine, but we still drink it. Kudos to that. Yep. So it's Kathleen writes, it's best to get these things being vitamins and minerals, from the most natural source, food, basically, unless you can get your paws on some medicine man supplements. Oh, and speaking of which, we are past the time for the group take. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, so, where is it? Starting with the liver pill, because maintaining, supporting, cleansing, strengthening the liver goes a long way to keeping the whole rest of the body healthy. Oops, I need my 4. Remember, the liver is the waste disposal system of the body. It cleans out all the gunk in your blood that's not supposed to be there. And so the more quickly it does that, the healthier you will be. Okay, next, the brain pill. Like I said, this is my personal favorite. It's great because I'm remembering stuff like names of people. I'm terrible. I would never be a salesperson because you introduce yourself and 30 seconds later, I have no idea what your name is. But I've even found with the brain pill, I actually now know the names of my neighbors. And of course, the most important right now, the immune pill. Support, maintain, prepare, fight. And taking the 3 of those, it's going to be another day of being out and about, trying to meet with some suppliers and stuff. So I got to pump up the immune system. So, like I said, with the Medicine Man Plant Company, the company that, the startup that I belong to, the products, we take the full plant in most cases and then freeze dry it so none of the nutrients are destroyed, powdered it, and then encapsulate it in very specific blends. You might notice, like with the liver pill, you got to take 4 of them. That's to get the actual dose that science has said for the burdock and the milk thistle and the flaxseed you need to get the actual effect of the cleansing and stimulating the liver. The flaxseed goes back to the whole bioavailability stuff. The milk thistle, in the case of the milk thistle, is actually an extract, a hot water extract, basically a tea, which is how the milk thistle was used for thousands of years to help with the damaged livers. So the components, though, they extract into the water well, but they don't go into the body well unless there is some sort of big like phospholipids present. And so the flaxseed was a great source of phospholipids to increase the bioavailability of the milk thistle compound. So yeah, a lot of science in there. Oh yeah. Okay. If you don't know Bulletproof Coffee, that is amazing stuff. So it's coffee with like cocoa butter and other things added to it that really actually do help the body a lot. It sounds like it would be, at the very least, weird, but it's actually really good and thick and creamy. Good stuff. Yikes, Kimberly. Super anemic. My body is lacking in transferrin and the total iron binding capability. That sucks. That sounds like my mom. When my mom was growing up, she was always terribly anemic to the point where the doctor would have her eat just barely cooked liver. And so to this day, she does not like liver. Oh, wow. Here we go. All right. The brain pill works from Laura. I beat my dad and brother in 42 this weekend, 6 games in a row. This never happens. Yep. There we go. Proof positive. You need to write a review for Amazon. Okay, Nick, that's a good question. So is it better to take the supplements all at once or space them out throughout the day? So looking at the data, you do need a certain amount to activate what is being activated in the body by the stuff. So think of it as giving if you take all of them at once, you're going to get at least a 12 to 14 hour blast of the powers they give. The improved liver. And actually in the liver, it actually builds up over time. So you can spread it out. And especially if you're just starting, sometimes it's good. And the brain pill, 3 capsules. Depending on my day, if during the work period of the day, from 8 a.m. to about 6, 7 p.m., if that's when I'm going to be really intensely working, and then after that, I can just kind of chill some, I will take all 3 of the brain pill in the morning because it will last me, at least until 7 of the enhanced mental powers. I found it even goes a little longer as you've been taking it. But if it's going to be one of those days where I'm going to be working from 8 a.m. until midnight, then I will spread out the brain pill. In the case of the immune pill, it depends on what I'm doing that day. If all my social interactions are going to be, again, during the during the work day period, some basically between 8 a.m. and 6:30, I'll just take all the immune at once and build up that super strong immune system while I'm out and about. And then when I'm home, I don't need quite the protection, so it drops off some. But again, if I were I'm going to go a little longer here. If I were going out for some reason in the evening, then I would take 2 of the immune pills in the morning, and then 1 in the late afternoon, a few hours before going out to lengthen the whole period of the protection, if you will. And then the liver pill, again, if you take all 4 at once, you're pretty much covered through all the meal times of the day and beyond. Again, it'll stretch out to 8 p.m. depending on when you eat supper. If you eat a late supper or you're a snacker, a late night snacker, then you might want to take 3 in the morning to cover a large part of the active, part of the day. And then 1 more in late afternoon or early evening, just before supper, to kind of cover you through the evening hours. So, okay. It's after 8. I need to get running. I'm sorry if I missed your questions, but I got to go. Someone was asking the dosages. Like I said, the recommended dose for the liver pill is 4 capsules a day. Recommended dose for the brain and the immune are 3 capsules a day. And then each bottle has a 30-day amount of pills. So if you need 3 a day, it'll have 90. If you need 4, it has 120. Okay, I really got to run. Another busy day. So, where is that? So again, I apologize for not getting to everyone's questions, but we'll be back here tomorrow. Also remember, there will not be an episode of Merriweather's World this year. I just got too much going on. So I'm going to bump it to next week. When we return next week, it will be about pine trees, but I just got too much going on that I need to take care of. Okay. Love you all. Love each other. Stay here. Well, not stay here, but you got it. You can handle what life is throwing at you right now. Okay. Because you got people that are, if you need good vibrations, we will send good vibrations for you. Until then, tribe, I will see you tomorrow morning. Take care. End broadcast.